Chris Galzer here with
Matt Hoult.
And on this episode of The First Round, Matt and I caught up with the latest in the X-Men franchise, X-Men Apocalypse. Bryan Singer is back. All your favorite X-Men are back, particularly one you may not have known was going to show up, but I guess they gave the little reveal away right in the trailer, in the last trailer. And we're talking about that latest film. We're also going to spend some time on our Classics Marathon with a discussion of On The Waterfront, starring Marlon Brando. And then coming up soon, actually coming up this week, we're going to start doing reviews of a TV show for a change. We're going to start talking about Preacher. So for our final segment today, we're going to present that to you, the first episode of that. So you'll be able to hear that and then follow that along as well. It'll be in the same stream. It'll be on the same website. So you'll be able to check that out. So I'm anxious to talk about that. So Matt, why don't we hear a little bit from X-Men Apocalypse?
Some believe that the first mutant was born thousands of years ago. He was some kind of god, and he's going to rise again.
You are all my children, and you're lost because you follow blind leaders. No more false gods. I'm here now.
He always had 4 followers.
Like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Together, we will cleanse the earth to the strongest.
We'll take everything from them.
He means to destroy this world. Billions of people killed.
Sinking like stones, all that we fought for.
The world needs the X-Men.
You're gonna join them, aren't you?
You wanted me to get out of the house more, right?
It's all of us against a god.
Let's go to war.
All right, Matt, so why don't you tell the kids at home what's going on this time with our old buddies, the X-Men?
Oh boy, what is going on this time? Well, as we know, they've kind of reset the status quo from using Days of Future Past, and it's kind of like a clean slate version of this. So basically, Xavier has started his school for gifted youngsters. Magneto is hiding out from the events from X-Men Days of Future Past. And Mystique is out gathering up mutants when they come across I guess what's known as the world's first mutant, a super mutant, Apocalypse, who comes back to life from hibernation and starts gathering followers to take over the world. And then only the X-Men can stop them. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. Well, okay, so that's good. You explained one of the first questions I had about this movie. Because I must have forgotten this, because I could have sworn, didn't we tackle the Phoenix thing already?
Yeah, it was in X-Men Last Stand, X3 Last Stand, whatever.
Well, but they built up to it too in the first 2 films, and
right,
then and then The Last Stand was the full thing. So now we're already jumping into it, like, because how old? Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how old Jean Grey is supposed to be in the X-Men franchise. I'm thinking like early 30s, right? You would think maybe late 20s.
In the original ones?
Yeah,
I think probably early 30s. Yeah.
And she's supposed to be what here, 19 maybe?
Yeah, something like that. 17, 18, 19, something like that.
All right, well, it's a minor quibble, and I guess I don't know if it's really worth spending any time on. But that's one thing I didn't understand, because I was like, well, wait, didn't we already deal with the Phoenix saga? But I guess Days of Future Past, which I must have forgotten, just resets the timeline, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, they just basically hit the reset button, did a do-over, and said, all this stuff that came before, it's not timeline canon or whatever. So we're moving on fresh.
All right. So here's my reaction walking out of that theater, and then you tell me what you think.
Okay. Yeah, that's about right. I mean, it's fine. I guess it's all right. But I was not blown away. I was quite anxious to leave actually once it was starting to drag on a little bit there. I had that same reaction. I was like, yeah, all right, come on, let's go. I felt like, and it's not like, it wasn't even a pacing issue. Mm-hmm. It was more just,
Listen, I think the issue is there's no new ground really broken here. There really isn't. There's nothing. And now, granted, is there a lot of new ground to be broken at this point with the superhero movie? Maybe not.
Right.
But still, this film just felt very rote to me. It felt very, I don't know. It just wasn't inspired. I guess is the best way I can put it.
Yeah, it was very paint by numbers. No, I mean the additions, the new cast members, they were fine. You know, I think the new X-Men, the young X-Men were fine. A lot of the action scenes were good. As you know, the Quicksilver scene, you know, was very well done. I mean, obviously, you had seen it before from Future Past, so it didn't have that same kind of impact, but it was still fun to watch. But I mean, as far as the villains go, like it was like I just didn't care about any of them. I mean, I think Olivia Munn has maybe 3 lines of dialogue in this entire film, even though she just kind of stands in the back and scowls, which is fine. She's not any great actress or anything like that. But I mean, the kind of underdeveloped 4 Horsemen, just the whole thing, it was just kind of like, I really don't care as far as what's going on with Apocalypse right now.
I think that's it exactly. I think the worst thing about this is how underwhelming the villain is in this thing. Oscar Isaac's basically just as Apocalypse. I don't know if it's Singer's fault. I don't know if it's the writer's fault, but he really just, there's no pop to him whatsoever. And he's a major villain in the X-Men universe. I mean, outside of Magneto, I think he's basically the next one in line, right? I know there's the Brood and some other stuff too, and there's the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and the Hellfire Club. But when it comes to standalone guys, Apocalypse is as badass as it gets.
Right.
I mean, he's a mutant who has the ability to siphon off and take other people's powers.
Right.
And he's immortal. I mean, that's. And he's also this, like, I think maybe part of it may be costume design issues, because he's supposed to be like 8, 9, 10 feet tall, just generally.
Right. Yeah, and he's supposed to be able to like increase size and mass and do all this kind of stuff, but you never really see any of that thing. I mean, his power set is just completely underwhelming. It's just like a blue guy walking around who says a lot of bad stuff and everybody just believes him. Yeah,
I mean, he embiggens himself at one point, but he doesn't. Still, I thought generally he was just kind of a big guy, and Isaac's just caring of himself, I thought was underwhelming with that as well.
Yeah, and
which I think was a major misstep. Another one too, I felt was sleepwalking to this film was Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, I really felt that. I don't know if it's just a matter of just she's kind of roped into this franchise.
Yeah.
So it's just a paycheck for her at this point. I mean, it's workmanlike. She's fine, but there's no real. There's no Winter's Bone Jennifer Lawrence in this. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I think she's pretty much done with this entire thing. I think she's becoming a serious actress. So, I think she's kind of done with the Hunger Games and the X-Men and stuff like that. I mean, for me, the best part. I mean, I think Fassbender is still really good. McAvoy is still pretty charming. Questionable as far as destroying Auschwitz on how in good taste that was. But I mean, and like I said, Kodi Smit-McPhee is Nightcrawler. He's passable. I mean, he's all right, and Quicksilver's fine.
Oh, that's who that was?
Yeah, that was Kodi Smit-McPhee. Yeah.
I didn't get that.
The kid who plays Cyclops, has the kind of brooding Cyclops thing going down. Other than not doing a very good American accent, Sophie Turner's fine as Jean Grey. So, it's they're fine. I mean, it's, we'll see what we get through the next one, and maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I'd have to say for me too, Fassbender's arc was the most interesting out of anything in this film. Yeah. I almost feel like I'd rather have seen that movie. Fassbender trying to adapt to this life and start a family while maintaining his identity, his secret identity, and not being revealed for who he was. Now, granted, it's an entirely different film, but there's something about Fassbender's the only character in this film that I felt, that I never even remotely, I don't want to say identified with, but his arc is the only one that really hooked me out of the entire film.
Right.
So. I don't know. I would like a little more time with that. And I got to admit, too, I was really nervous about having Jubilee in the film, but she's pretty much a non-presence.
Mm.
So that's good. I was very happy about that.
You were very happy about not a Jubilee fan?
No. One of the most worthless X-Men ever. And, of course, you have
That's really saying something, too.
That's true. And you have the obligatory cameo by Hugh Jackman as Weapon X Wolverine, which I think was a nice little shot in the arm of adrenaline for the movie for while it lasted.
Yeah.
Though it almost did feel more fan servicey to me.
Yeah.
To figure out a way to see, because it didn't forward the plot at all. It was more like, let's get Wolverine in here.
Yeah. And set up some, I don't know, Old Man Logan for the next one. So we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. I think overall, my final note was it felt more like maintaining a franchise with really nothing new to tell. That's kind of was my closing line when I was walking out of that film.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about it. Unfortunately, it's pretty derivative superhero stuff, and I think we've been conditioned to expect a lot more. And it's just kind of blah. Yeah,
I think it's either you need to run out into the theater and see this. I don't think so. Mm-hmm. I don't feel the spectacle and the visuals and stuff demand being seen in an IMAX or a big screen. I don't. I think if you're a fan of the X-Men franchise, by all means, go check it out. You'll enjoy it. It's fine, but like you said, but that's it. That's the highest praise I can give it. It's fine. If I were to assign a letter grade to it, I'd go C+ on a good day, maybe a B-, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting in the high C's right now.
Yeah, I think C+ is right.
All right.
I mean, it's no Batman versus Superman.
That's right. It's a solid B. Solid B. Did you see they released a trailer for the extended cut this week?
No, I didn't watch it. I heard about it though.
Yeah, I really don't know how much of a difference this is really going to make, but I'm still interested to see it. What was I going to say too? You derailed me there. What do you think of did you stay through the end credit sequence to see the tease for the next villain?
Yeah,
sort of.
Yeah, sort of. What was? I had to look it up because I mean, I am a big X-Men fan, or at least I was when I was a kid, but I'm not as steeped in the lore. It didn't immediately leap out to me. Is it tied to Mr.? Does it tied to Mr. Sinister? Is that what it's supposed to be?
Yeah, the guy who runs the corporation is Mr. Sinister, and supposedly they spoke to one of the writers of the film, and they said, yeah, it's a tease also to set up the Wolverine film and the Gambit movie that I guess is still going to be made. I don't know.
Okay, all right, man. Channing Tatum doing an awful like Cajun accent. It's just going to be so painful for 2 hours.
I'm really nervous about that because we have, any listener to the show knows, we have what's called the Tatum line, which is when an actor we used to hate actually crosses over and becomes somebody we like.
Right.
Tatum was the first one to do that, hence the Tatum line. But I'm nervous that this may drop him below the Tatum line if he has this really bad. Yeah,
I mean, I think Gambit would be a lot more tolerable if they just dropped the Cajun accent, and I just don't think they're going to do it.
Do you think the fans would cry out and be upset?
You mean fan, like both of them? I mean, I think Gambit's sell-by date has been long gone since the early 90s.
Fair enough. All right, well, maybe next we'll get that Jubilee movie I've been waiting for.
Hey, we're getting Cloak and Dagger, so that's something.
There you go. So if you've had a chance to see X-Men Apocalypse, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, let's talk a little bit what's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday. That's June 7th. I almost said it. Again, January. I have this weird mind issue. Whenever I start to say June, January pops in my head first. I don't know if I should see a doctor for other things. Zootopia, the breakout hit from Disney, is being released on Blu-ray. There's also a 3D version you can get as well. Target has some special packaging, which also includes a DVD of 15 more minutes of bonus content. There's a ton of stuff on here. Deleted scenes, which I always love. If you have an animated movie with deleted scenes. But still, there's some deleted character as well, featured on the score, just a whole bunch of stuff. So if you're a Zootopia fan, you can now pick that up. I haven't seen Zootopia yet, Matt. I really want to. I hear it's fantastic. You have a young child and a young human being. Did you see it?
Yeah, we went and saw it. It was actually really good. It was really good. Pretty heavy-handed in the metaphor, but really well done. It's a good film.
Interesting. Okay. So next up, we have Charlie Kaufman's Anomalisa. Are you familiar with this film?
I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it.
So basically, it's a stop-motion animation movie written by Kaufman, done by Duke Johnson is the animator who's known for Moral Oral, and he also did the Christmas episode of Community when they were all, I don't know if you remember that one. So anyway, it was nominated for an Academy Award nomination. How dare you? So I want to check this one out too. I had a feeling this is one of those ones that'll pop up on Netflix, so hopefully it'll show up there soon. Hail Caesar from the Coen Brothers getting released as well on Blu-ray, DVD, digital copy, and Ultraviolet Past. past. There's a Directing Hollywood, a Coen brothers making their mark on Hollywood for decades featurette. Some other stuff as well. I liked Hail Caesar. It didn't do great. It's one of the considered the lesser known Coen brothers films. But I still really enjoyed it. So you should check that out. If you wanted to do a movie about Benghazi, Matt, who's the first director you would go to? Wait, I know. It's Michael Bay. And you can see his movie 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi, being released on Blu-ray as well. A couple behind-the-scenes featurettes for the record, finding the truth amid the noise, uncovering the Benghazi secret soldiers, and then preparing for battle behind the scenes of the film. Mr. Right, a film with an interesting cast. It's about a girl that falls for the perfect guy who happens to have a very fatal flaw, Matt. He's a hitman on the run from the crime cartels who employ him. It stars Sam Rockwell, Anna Kendrick, and Tim Roth. So that's a pretty solid group there.
That's a pretty solid group, yeah.
New to Blu-ray, Matt, a couple big releases. I think bigger maybe even than the films coming out this week on Blu-ray. The Newies. The Newies? I made that word up. You like that?
The Noobs?
Noobs? The Newbies? Star Trek II, the director's cut, finally being released on Blu-ray. There's a Blu-ray as well as a 4K release. It basically has all the original special features from the DVD special edition, which I have. I also do have the Star Trek. Actually, I have all the Star Trek films on Blu-ray, even though only Star Trek II was originally remastered. Because eventually they all dropped down to like $6 a pop, so I picked them up. I didn't want to get the box set. I don't know if you saw the box set. I hated the packaging. Specifically, the covers for each disc, each film had a different member of the cast as the cover. It's just a headshot, and it just it's very dull. So I want the individual releases. I got to admit, if I get the good price on this, and I missed it. Originally, they had a pre-sale of $14.99 on this. Now it's like $30. But I'll definitely be picking this up to get the director's cut in Blu-ray. Includes the original, as I said, direct commentary by Nicholas Meyer. He was a director and did he write the film or just co-write it? I can't remember. Either way, but the commentary is on both the directors and the extended, the original theatrical cut as well. There's only one new special feature, the Genesis Effect, Engineering the Wrath of Khan. Everything else is ported over from the original special edition DVD. But still, here's your big chance. Here's one that upsets me, Matt. The Martian, the extended edition. That's getting released as well. And new special features, including commentary by Ridley Scott, Drew Goddard, and then Andrew Weir, the guy who wrote the book the movie's based on. Deleted scenes and some other featurettes as well. But come on. Why can't I get this the first time through? I bought this the first time. Now
I thought they were done with these types of shenanigans.
I think it's maybe a Ridley Scott thing too, right? Because he did that. I haven't seen it, but the Four Feathers, or the Four Kingdoms, I think is his version of it. From what I understand, the director's cut of that is a far superior film to the theatrical version. Now, I like The Martian a lot as is, but I am curious to see what this extended version is. And I'm not so much upset about the extended version being released separately. I'm upset about not getting this commentary. I would like to have seen on the original release that I bought, you sons of bitches. And that's it. I had a straight to DVD pick of the week, Matt, and I have no idea what the hell happened to it. So why don't you pontificate for a while? And
pontificate on what?
All right, I found it. Don't worry about it.
Okay,
all right,
done.
so here's what it is.
I
was going back and forth, and I don't know if there's a way for us to find this without having to buy the movie, but I think we definitely need to watch this film. It's called Rising Fear.
Okay.
It's written and directed by a guy named Tom Getty. He also stars in it. Okay. So he plays a Marine who's given a phone number by a pretty mysterious girl. Believing it's hers, he calls and detonates a bomb in downtown Pittsburgh. 76 Americans are killed. The Marine is given all the blame. Now he must escape authorities and hunt down the people who set him up before they can launch a second attack. I watched a trailer for this thing, and it's like intermittently interesting and then looks absolutely horrible. Because I feel like it's I don't know. I think it's just one of these ultra low budget films that this guy got his MacBook Pro, right? And he just kind of used the special effects and put it all together. I have to see it. It looks like it's going to be absolutely dreadful, and I feel like it could be excellent. And what I love too is you can actually buy the soundtrack on Amazon as well, the score of the film, which of course Mr. Getty did as well. I mean, he's a one-man wrecking machine.
So is this our next Birdemic?
I think maybe it could very well be. So we may have to figure out a way, Matt, to check that film out. All right, I don't know when and where or how, but Rising Fear. needs to be on our horizon at some point.
Very good.
All right. Well, that's all I had for that. Is there anything on Netflix right now or Amazon or streaming that you want to mention that maybe people should be checking out?
I don't know. I actually haven't seen and watched a whole lot lately. Been pretty boring. I watched a lot of stand-up lately on Netflix, but it's all pretty old.
Yeah, I don't seem to. I never seem to get into stand-up watching stuff. I don't know what it is. I don't know what my problem is. I know there's new episodes of Peaky Blinders that I want to check out. I watched like the first episode and I loved it.
Yeah.
But I have to kind of catch up with that one as well. But yeah, interesting. All right, and also too, I want to watch with the missus because it's supposed to be fantastic. Is the Eagles documentary? I never saw it, so that would be interesting to check out. And then finally, I did see one documentary on Netflix called "Welcome to Leith." Are you familiar with this?
No.
This is it's a documentary about a small town. I think it's in North Dakota, and what happens when a bunch of white supremacists move into this small town. They basically want to settle it and make it into a white supremacist town. And how all the current residents deal with them being there. It's really interesting. I rather enjoyed it. So, all right,
check it out.
Matt, let's move on. Let's hear a little clip from the film On the Waterfront.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Friendly! John Friendly, come out of there! Friendly! Come on out of there!
You want to know the trouble with you? You think it makes you a big man if you give the answers. But at the right time, I'll catch up with you. Be thinking about that. Now go on, beat it. Don't push your luck.
Wait a minute, you! You take them heaters away from you and you're nothing, you know that?
You talk yourself in the river.
You take the good goods away and the kickbacks and the shakedown cabbage and them pistol arrows and you're nothing. Your guts is all in your wallet and your trigger finger, you know that?
You ratted on us, Terry.
From where you stand, maybe, but I'm standing over here now. I was ratting on myself all them years, I didn't even know it.
Come on!
You give it to Joey, you give it to Dugan, you give it to Charlie, who was one of your own. You think you're God Almighty, but you know what you are?
Come on!
You're a cheap, lousy, dirty, stinking mug. And I'm glad what I've done to you. You hear that? I'm glad what I've done.
Matt, On the Waterfront. Marlon Brando. We're going to skip the whole little-known actor named Marlon Brando. So we have Marlon Brando plays Terry Malloy.
Yep.
And Terry he was a boxer, but he made some bad decisions, right? He took a couple dives for the easy money because his brother is basically, he's the consigliere for this crooked union boss. Mm-hmm. So he's a longshoreman now, just trying to get by, try to do the right thing. And he kind of gets sucked into this whole corruption thing and doing the bad thing. The film opens up with them using him to basically set this guy up and then they kill him. He's not aware that they're going to kill the guy. He thinks they're just going to rough him up, right? Because he's talking his mouth to the feds, to the police, and but they end up throwing him off a building. And then Brando then is now dealing with this inner turmoil of a guy who he's not a bad guy. Mm. He's just trying to do what he can with what he's been given in life and the stuff he's given away. And Matt, as he tries to, and then he meets, of course, the sister of the guy, Joey, who was killed, that he helped set up. He falls for her. Of course, she's played by Eva Marie Saint, who's fantastic in this film. An all-star cast. Rod Steiger as well, right? You got Carl Malden. Just all together. Lee Cobb plays our union boss guy, Johnny Friendly, just strong. But I got to tell you, nominated for a bunch of Academy Awards, 10 or 12, and it won like 8. Yeah. They had 3 of the best supporting actor categories. 3 of the actors were all from this film. Really? But none of them won. Oh, wow. But it's basically, so it's Brando just going through this whole thing, trying to figure out what to do. Is he going to do the right thing? Is he going to rat on the union and try and get things straight and win the heart of Eva Marie Saint? Matt, I got to tell you, the first thing that just stuck out to me, and I don't know if it's even cliched myself, but Brando is electric in this film.
Right.
I could not take my eyes off of him. The way he's able to imbue this Terry Malloy character with so many layers, and so just he's an aw shucks kind of guy. He's not that bright, but he's trying to do the right thing, and He's just I couldn't every time I could not take my eyes off of him. I can't describe the emotional impact that this performance had on me watching him. My Brando exposure, unfortunately, given my age, is more later years. Right? We're talking like not quite Island of Dr. Moreau bad, but still,
But even Godfather, Godfather, Apocalypse Now, that's kind of the Brando we're used to.
Yeah, and that's almost larger than life kind of Brando at that point, right? Not like current day Al Pacino crazy, but just a larger than life character.
Mm-hmm.
Here, though, he inhibits this Terry Malloy character. I actually don't feel I have the words to explain how impacted I was by this. I don't know. Take over. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought Brando was incredible, and it was it's his performance is just so natural. It's so believable. I mean, and this is still in that, this is, whatever it was, 52, 54 when this came out. We're still kind of in that, stagey kind of acting in film. A lot of the characters or the people that are playing the characters, they kind of have a very larger than life, very kind of exaggerated delivery. But Marlon Brando, you could drop it and put it into something today and it would not seem out of place. He just brings a lot of depth and pathos to a character that it's really just a long character study film.
Yeah, I have, that's one of my notes too, how it feels, the film felt fresh today. It does have a timeless quality to it, which I lean a lot on Brando, but also the director, Elia Kazan. I think that's a lot to do with him too. Maybe even help pull this performance out of Brando, though. I mean, it's Brando, so I'm sure it was all him anyway. There's an interesting history about this film too. I was doing some research. Like Kazan, I'm not even sure if I'm saying it right. He was an informer. He was a guy that named names during the Red Scare in the early 50s. And this part of this, some people say, was kind of his thing about promoting the whistleblower or the guy who rats and saying that he's actually the good guy, almost as a personal way to explain and explain what he had done and how it was the right thing to do. Still, putting that aside, this film floored me. I immediately all right, well, next time the Criterion sale comes around at Barnes & Noble, this is a pickup for me. I have to see this again. It just grabbed me, and I couldn't stop. I don't know. I am bumbling now. I can't describe how much I love this film. I really have nothing else to say. It's just the drama is real. It's got some great thriller aspects. You're going to be on the edge of your seat basically the whole time. Fantastic performances by Rod Steiger as his brother, and Lee Cobb especially too as Friendly. I absolutely loved. But yeah, Brando is just magnificent in this film.
Yeah, this is definitely a cut above Gone with the Wind in every way for me. This is something that I actually would watch again and I would put in my collection. This was absolutely fantastic, and it's worth its status for sure.
Yeah, so it won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Story and Screenplay, Best Supporting Actress, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, and Best Film Editing at the Academy Awards that year. And it was 1954, Matt. You were indeed right.
Very good.
Ranked number 6 on the AFI 100 Movies, 100 Years. Excuse me, number 8, pardon me. So, it is. It's a reason. There's a reason it's a classic, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't really have much more to say. It's absolute must see.
All right.
So
yeah, I completely wholeheartedly agree with you. I mean, Gone with the Wind was a bit of a slog. It's something that you probably, I think, have to suffer through if you're going to be a film buff. But this is something that I think you're truly going to enjoy if you're into film.
Definitely. So if you've seen the Scuba Ding. Wow, I went a little racist Chinese there all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, we forgot. How racist is it?
I'm gonna go with we still haven't come up with our scale.
No, we haven't.
But I'd have to say I'd say as a Chiwetel Ejiofor in 12 Years a Slave racist as a 0. That's my baseline.
Yeah.
This would be a 0. I really, in fact, there's even. Actually, no, I don't know. Maybe I want to say maybe we have to go 1 or a 2 because there's no prominent black actors. There is a black actor in the film.
Yeah, there is.
Who even has a role. which is great. It's 1954, so I guess we gotta say
nobody says any racial slurs to him. He's just a longshoreman, so I guess much further progress from the last film we saw. And then of course the priest calls himself a potato eater, so I think that's really the only slur I can think of, so
that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we really got to nail down this list.
We do. But I would say this is on the bottom end of the scale. This is definitely at the bottom end of the scale.
Yeah, definitely. All right, good for that. Good on you on the waterfront. We'll see what happens next week, though, with Rebel Without a Cause. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. So let's move forward and let's hear a clip from Preacher.
What do you want, kid?
It's about my dad. I want you to hurt him.
You know it's a sin just to ask me that.
I know. People said before you were a preacher, you did things.
How hurt you want him? How far do I go? Problem is, your daddy's a big fella. He's gonna fight back. Things will escalate. That's what these things do. They escalate. And violence makes violence. Makes nothing much at all.
Preacher! Enough!
Almost done, Sheriff. Is that what you want, kid?
Jesus, what kind of a preacher are you?
Matt, it's been a long road. Preacher has been in development, 10 years now, if not longer, since the graphic novel. I'm going to be that pretentious and say that. A graphic novel. Since the comic book ended, if you're not familiar with the comic, Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon created it. It features much like the show, a preacher who has basically lost his way. He's back home in Annville, Texas, trying to figure out what he's supposed to be doing. And there is a angel-demon hybrid baby. So an angel and a demon get down. And they have a child. And it's imprisoned in heaven, but it escapes. And what it ends up inhabiting our preacher, Jesse Custer. And it gives him the ability to... It's the word of God is one thing they call it, but basically it's a super hyper power of suggestion, right?
Right.
So whenever he says something, you have to do it. But the problem is, how do you interpret what he's telling you to do?
Right. It can be very hyper-literal, which can be a problem.
Yes. And along the way, we get introduced to Jesse's ex-girlfriend, Tulip, as well as his going to be soon best friend, Cassidy, who is an Irish vampire. Because why not?
Why not? If you think this is the craziest stuff that's going to happen in this, just buckle up, guys.
Exactly. The comic is possibly the most weird, twisted thing I have ever read in my life. It is gonzo entertainment. It truly is, and I'm curious to see if the show is going to do that as well. But let's talk about that in a little bit, Matt. So why don't you break down? We're going to talk now about the pilot episode.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is there anything else you would want to add to that? What's going on with this pilot?
Well, I guess I'm going to say that, so for fans of the comic book, this is, it starts off a little different, and I think what this first season is doing is laying down a little more groundwork as far as establishing the characters. I don't think you're really going to, I think it's going to try and ease you a little bit into the insanity of Preacher, because as Chris said, this thing goes completely off the rails in the middle of this. I mean, I want to tell you so bad, but it'll just ruin it for you if this actually comes around. Yeah. So, but I mean, it's really kind of setting a baseline of kind of where these characters are, and it's moving a little slower. And I think this is a lot of stuff that happens in the pilot doesn't really actually happen in the comics.
I think that's fair. Yeah. I think that's a good point. So we're introduced to our main characters, though, right? We get Jesse Custer, the preacher. We get Cassidy, or his. Here's my problem. I feel like I'm gonna have to watch the show with headphones because I got to tell you, or with closed captioning, because I didn't quite get half of what Cassidy was saying.
Oh, really?
Because his brogue is so strong that I just
come on, that lilt. You can't follow that lilt.
Right. Ruth Negga as Tulip O'Hare, and I want to say, you know what, comic book fans, I got a little. Hold on, I want to play you a little something. All right. Good on you. Good on you for not freaking out for changing the race of Tulip. Because in the comic book, she's a white blonde lady.
Yeah.
And in here, it's Ruth Negga, who is a lovely African-American actress. And I don't know if it's sexist for me to add the lovely part. I don't know. But it's still, she's a fantastic actress. You're familiar with her previously from Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep.
She was one of the Inhumans. She was the spiky one. I can't remember what her name was.
I think, I forgot.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So she plays Tulip O'Hare. We're introduced as well to Sheriff Hugo Root, played by W. Earl Brown, and some other minor characters. Well, I shouldn't say minor, but Arseface here as well. But some other people, too. Like you said, they're setting up the chess pieces, and we're doing everything a little slow. And I want to say, too, from what I understand, Matt, this first season is confined to Anvil. Okay. While the comic book basically shoots you out of the gate, right? We're only in Anvil for, what, an issue or two?
Yeah, I mean, basically,
and then we're on the road.
Yeah, I mean, basically the first issue, as far as I can recall, I mean, it's basically Jesse getting possessed by Genesis, and then basically all hell breaks loose and they have to go on the run.
Yeah. So, and that's part of the thing too. Is they go? I don't know. Do we want to talk about that, or let the season what the comic book is, or just let the season unfold? Because why they leave Anvil, or what I don't know what we should do.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's not 100% clear on the show why they're going to leave Anvil. I mean, we haven't really kind of seen how they're going to play that out, or even when that's going to happen. So I think it's fair not to talk about it right now.
All right, we'll pocket that for now then. I think that's a fair point. So let's talk about some of this then. I got to tell you, for me, Matt, the most interesting thing about this was Tulip. I could watch a Tulip show.
Okay.
The introduction of her character, especially the standoff at the farmhouse.
Yeah.
I really, Negga is absolutely, she is like, listen, I felt the show was good as it was rolling along. It was good. But when she shows up, it went from a B to an A to me. I mean, she's a breath of fresh air throughout the whole thing. She's brilliant. She's fantastic in this. I absolutely loved every moment of it. So I got to tell you, initially, that was one of the things that concerned me. I was nervous. I didn't know how it was going to go with the introduction of the character, because sometimes female characters get a little underwritten or underdeveloped, and they're introduced more as just sidekick love interests for our main character. But that's not going to be the case with Ruth Negga as Tulip, and I'm very excited about that.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I've talked to people about the show, and I think people fall generally into two camps. They're either in your camp, which is Tulip is the best thing about the show, and I love everything that was about her. Or you fall into my camp, where I was actually a much bigger fan of Cassidy. Like, I loved watching. I mean, and granted, maybe it's a little cliche, but I was having a hell of a lot of fun. I mean, the show really kicked in its fun gears every time he was on the screen. Ruth, and that's nothing to take away from Ruth Negga. I think she, I enjoyed the Tulip scenes a lot, but if I had to pick between the two, I would watch the Cassidy scenes over by themselves.
I think Cassidy is number 2 for me. I think I agree with you as well. I think he exceptionally strong and a lot of fun to watch. But Ruth really, Tulip really edges him out, which I think is interesting. Then that you and I may both fall in the same camp. Then that the most underwhelming thing about this whole episode was Jesse Custer.
Yeah, the way Dominic Cooper or Howard Stark plays him, Jesse in the comic, had kind of a hard edge to him from very beginning. He's kind of a drunk. He's kind of an asshole. Whereas you don't really get that. You get a lot of he's kind of conflicted and he's trying to do the good things. And really, you don't see the Jesse that if you've read the comic that you're used to until he gets into that bar fight. And when he gets into that bar fight and he starts kicking that guy's ass, and they do that little slow-mo where he's smiling while he's doing it, that's when it's like, okay, this is going to work. It's going to take us a while to get there.
And if that's the track we're going to take, I'm all right with that. Yeah. It's just that when it comes to introduction of the characters, I felt they did a little bit of his Custer's arc is going to be a little slower. And I don't want to say it was a disservice, but compared to the introduction of Cassidy and Tulip, it wasn't as good. But maybe that's because Dominic Cooper is the star of the show. Maybe that's what we're going to do. We're going to slowly build him, and then here's the pop of Tulip and Cassidy,
right?
Which will be fine. So yeah, and I got to tell you too, I'm happy this is on AMC because AMC seems to be able to get away with a little more violence. I think my preference would have originally been HBO. I think it's show, and I think a TV show is the better route for this to go instead of a feature film, because I think a feature film would require entirely too much editing, and cutting out and excising of stuff. With the show, you could really take your time. I got to tell you, man, I could see this thing running 5-6 seasons without breaking a sweat. If they're able to maintain what I think is the quality of this first episode. This is one of the better pilots I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
It's much better than, I hate to say it, Fear the Walking Dead is swinging and missing with me almost every single week at this point.
Is it?
So I'm really excited, though, for this. And how were your, because I know for me, my expectations are pretty high. But I felt that I think some of the changes that were made are minor and are necessary because we're talking about a TV show.
Right.
We still have a lot to see.
Right.
So we'll see how that develops. But how about you? Were you underwhelmed or overwhelmed, or were you just
I think I was pleasantly surprised. And I'll be quite honest with you. I haven't read Preacher probably in 10 years, if not longer. And I have this feeling that if I go back and read it, it's not going to quite hold up as it did to late, teens me, how much I thought it was, subversive and stuff like that. I think they're taking the right track by kind of introducing kind of some of the weirdness of it in slow doses. I mean, you get some like kind of, the violence absurdity with like, Cassidy falling out of the plane and how he ends up when he hits the ground, and Arseface and all that kind of stuff. So they're easing you into this before it really starts to get crazy. And I think that's really the right approach for this.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it as well. A couple of the notes I had, I felt like I wrote down it was like a Western carnival of horrors. I feel like that's what the show is going to be, which for me, I'm excited about. And Matt, let me ask you, for me then, my question I wrote for you is, how batshit crazy do you think this will get? How far do you think they're going to go?
I mean, if this thing...
They're going to... Because we don't know about Jesse's family yet, right? Because his family's a whole other thing.
Yes.
Outside of his father.
Right.
I'm wondering, how much do you think they're going to... I'd say, like, let's do a quick, what are the odds? What are the odds that they're going to get into everything that happens in the show? How much of it will be incorporated into the show?
You know what? I have pretty high faith. If this thing kicks off pretty good, I have pretty high faith in Goldberg and Rogan, thank you. Being able to pull some of this stuff off. I'm going to say it's an 80% chance we get the Jesse's family and all of the things that come with that. I think we're going to get the Saint of Killers, and if they get in the Grail and really what the Grail is, like it's I can't even believe they would even try and pull that off on even cable TV.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm thinking maybe 75% myself too. I'm fairly confident that they're going to try and work, especially if they get a long enough run that they'll work in everything. Because there's a lot of stuff to mine on this show.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of how much they can get away with.
Right.
So I think I agree with you. The biggest test will be, or the biggest effort will be, working in the Grail. Mm-hmm. But they have to, right? Because I think we got two of the guys from the Grail floating around, tracking down the Genesis right now. That's who I think those people are.
Yeah, I think they're going to have the Grail as the antagonist, but I'm curious, and again, I want to talk about this, but I don't want to ruin it, I would be extremely curious if the reason the Grail exists is the same as it is from the comic book versus what's in the show.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a very strong possibility they're going to change that.
I think Middle America is going to freak out when that comes on.
I agree. So there's some speculation too that in the beginning, when we first see, which I don't think it's been addressed as such yet in the show, but Genesis, which is that's the name of the force that inhabits Custer. When it breaks, it's flying through space.
Yeah.
So there's discussion like, well, is it actually supernatural? Is it actually a religious thing, or is it more an alien thing? But I think the fact that it's inhibiting preachers all around the world, really confirms the religious aspects of it.
Yeah, I read. I mean, some of the early reviews I read, they talked about how they described it as aliens. So I was a little taken aback before I saw it. But then when I saw it, I'm like, that doesn't necessarily mean aliens to me. So I think they're sticking with the divine creation.
Mm-hmm. So I wrote down a couple of my favorite moments from this pilot episode. I just wanted to share with you. I don't know if you got my text about that and had an opportunity to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but for me, I have Cassidy's to-go mug.
Mm-hmm.
In the fight in the airplane.
Yes.
That
was fantastic.
That one got a good chuckle out of me. The first real inclination of how literally his word is taking with the open your heart when the guy goes to visit his mother and presents her his heart. That was a shocking moment that you kind of saw coming, but still. Then a couple tulips for me. Her homemade bazooka. This is how you make a bazooka.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Who Likes Arts and Crafts? I absolutely adored.
Yeah.
And then finally, I think for me, the little side thing that made me laugh too was the Tom Cruise explodes.
Oh yes, yeah. I think that's basically my list too. The only things I would add is obviously when Jesse lets go and becomes a badass in the bar, which I mentioned. That's a lot of fun. And honestly, the fight scenes in that scene, the scene in the plane, but the fight with Tulip in the car those are the way how well done those are. Those are actually like movie type production values. I was really impressed that they were able to pull them off.
Yeah, I agree. I think too one of the great moments too for Cassidy is in the bar fight scene. All he does is kick the chair and then he just nods the glass to him.
Yeah. And can I have one nitpick? I have one nitpick. Okay, so. We really like Ruth Negga. I think she's doing a great job, but this is another one of those cases. And Dominic Cooper's not quite as bad, but where they get, I think she was raised in Britain, even though I think she's Ethiopian. But that Southern accent is just not selling me. It is not a good Southern accent. So I'm not looking forward to having to listen to that. But hopefully she gets better at it as she goes.
I enjoyed it, but I don't have any real South experience. You have much more than I do, so. But I enjoyed that. I enjoy it. I didn't have an issue for me.
Didn't pick up on it?
No, I didn't.
Damn Yankee.
That's right. They all sound like that to me. I have no idea. So I want to kind of keep track. So we want to give a letter grade then for the pilot episode of Preacher.
I'm gonna give it an A-. Solid A-.
Yeah, I was going back and forth between A- and B+, and right now I have it at B+, just because I felt like Cooper was either underserved or slightly underwhelming for the majority of the episode until the fight scene, really.
Right.
So, interesting. All right. Well, that was our discussion of Preacher. I got to tell you, man, I'm super excited for next week, though. This is when I immediately wanted to watch the next episode as soon as the pilot ended, which I think is considered a success. Right? That's what you want.
I think so. Doesn't it? Yeah, it comes out. It's tomorrow, right? There was a week break tomorrow.
Yeah. It's tomorrow night, and I believe it's at 10 o'clock, or is it 9? You think we would know?
You think we would? I think it's at 10.
Yeah. So Preacher returns tomorrow, Sunday. So you can check that out on AMC. And what I would say too is, I'm fairly confident they're gonna rerun the pilot before the next episode. That's kind of AMC's modus operandi, right? So Sundays at 9. So you can check that out. The pilot is available right now. You can watch it online. It's also available to download off of iTunes for free, so you can check that out. But you can just go to AMC, the website itself, and watch the pilot commercial free actually right now. So there you go, man, if you didn't get a chance to see it. If you saw Preacher and you want to follow along with us, we will be doing this every week with every episode. This is our own Talking Preacher. Please don't sue us. You can shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, yes. Next week, what are we doing next week? I got to tell you, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle is a no for me. I do want to see Popstar Never Stop Stomping.
Yeah, I kind of want to see Popstar. Although we talked about the Lobster as well. Yeah,
that's playing as well. Yeah. So if you can see a film this week and you could choose one of those two, which would you rather do?
That's tough, man. I guess you want to see the Lobster. Want to pretend like we're already for a week?
Sure, we'll do the Lobster. Maybe I'll try and see if I can get in Popstar too. Who knows?
Yeah, I kind of want to see it too. Maybe I'll pick stuff.
Because the following week is for me. After that's going to be. I'm going to go with Now You See Me Too. I can't believe they made a sequel out of that film. It was not that good. Warcraft, which is sorry Duncan Jones, sitting at a 21% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
I have no interest to see that movie.
Neither do I. I think that's gonna play just to the fans of the game, right? And that's it. I feel like there's no outside appeal for that film whatsoever.
Right.
So I think that's gonna tank big time.
Me too.
Which I feel bad for Duncan Jones. So because I love his other films. And then of course I think the one I'm going to go, I think we should do is The Conjuring 2. That comes out on June 10th as well.
Okay.
Either way, shoot us an email to feedback@firstrun, and of course we will talk about Rebel Without a Cause next week. So buckle up for a little James Dean and not the sausage guy.
That's Jimmy.
Right. Well, I always thought they were the same guy. Anyway, we're going to take an extended break, and we will see you all in a week.
Yeah.
Con bloodsucker. You're gonna have to do your own dirty work now. Do you hear me? Do you?